Two. Hello, people. We are live finally for our first episode of Freedom, which I think it is a beautiful name. I hope everything is rocking and rolling because we have our first guest here waiting. And the first guest of my podcast is Sommer Leigh. Sommer Leigh is creator of Sound Science Soul, a platform dedicated to explore the profound impact of sound on cognitive experiences and emotional wellness. With a background as a music journalist and promoter and years spent studying consciousness, her journey has led up to a deep understanding of the mind's untapped capabilities. Sound Science Soul is the culminating of years spent in the realm of metaphysics, mindfulness, and brainwave entrainment, aimed at helping individuals gain control over their minds for a happier, more fulfilled life. And I think this is a beautiful mission that you have here to help individuals gain control over their minds because you helped me with that. I was in a really dark place last year, and I'm not sure if these altered states experience. How can I put this on Okay, so I want to start to tell my whole story about this, but let me just tell you that your videos, especially those on the Jose Silva Mind Technique, helped me a lot. At least I feel that way. So thank you for that, and I want to explore with you this world, and I have some questions here, and lots of roots on my mind of things that I can explore. But yeah, first I just want to say thank you for the privilege to be here sitting with you and to get some wisdom from you to our audience and to myself as well. So I hope to get out of here a little bit wiser. And yeah, just so our people can get a little bit more curious about this topic, how to access different brain states, and especially this question to start: why do it? Why should I access different brain states?
Mhm. Good question. And there's probably lots of ways you can answer that, honestly, because there's lots of different reasons why you would want to do so. I have found them useful for improving sleep, improving your focus,
Hmm.
improving just how you deal with things mentally.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into, say, like an alpha state, you're removing that beta uh, frequency, not removing it, but you're lowering it because you're always accessing all brain states. You just access one more than the others in when you're accessing one. And so if you're in that beta state more so, that's when you're, most worried, most anxious. I mean, not always, of course. I mean, we're walking around in beta and can be very happy.
Mm.
But, that's where a lot of that anxiety and worry comes from. And so when you can get into an alpha state, which is something that is accessed, can be accessed throughout our day by various ways. It can be accessed in meditation. There's multiple ways to access it, but something like alpha, you remove a lot of that worry and you're able to get below it or above it or whatever you want to consider it and get outside of it so that you can be more observant
Mm.
instead of reactive. And so
Oh.
that's an important reason. It's also useful. Alpha and even theta are useful for our visualization practices too. And when you put your focus on something, that's the way that you make things happen. I mean, we are creators,
Yes.
and focusing on something, I have a different perspective than maybe some people do. When you look at something like the law of attraction, a lot of people
Hmm.
consider that to be, I mean, it's very sexy. So people sell it a lot.
Yes.
But I consider it a little bit different. I don't think that we can just like create riches and do all these things because we have a journey here.
Hmm.
And there's certain things we're meant to experience, and there's all these other things that go into that. And there's also lots of universal laws. So we're meant to be following those universal laws, and they do impact us. And just wanting one thing may go against, the whole,
Oh.
landscape of the universe. So when I look at visualization, I think it's about putting focus on something. And when we do focus in on something, we do start to make paths to those things. It may not be exactly what we want, it may be what we need, but it can be very similar to what we envision, just because we are focused on it. And you have to take action. We have to use our will in this lifetime. And so that's the power of visualization. It's just actually putting the focus on it to then kind of guide your path there. So I think that was a lot. I don't know if that answered your question completely.
Oh, I believe, yeah, partially I believe it answers, but no, it you answered. Yes, it is just
Okay.
an infinite of benefits. I believe that that this can give you. You talk in different aspects, beta to alpha. We are going to talk about a little bit more on that in a moment, of the different states that we can enter our brain. I love this thing of being from an observer, becoming from a reactor to a more an observer person. I think that's really
Mhm.
powerful. So we can take more rational decisions and better decisions, let's say. Or at least I feel that when I am less reactive, I can make a better evaluation of the situation that I'm in.
Right.
Yes, I think that's interesting. Also, the law of attraction and visualization. This is something that is very interesting to me, because I see this law of attraction. The Secret. It was a book, then they made a documentary on it, and then I saw these things, and I think to myself, this is some of it is what I did previously on my life, before starting to enter on psychology camp, let's say. Because I started as a content creator in 2015, when I was 15 years old as well, and I moved really quickly. So I was able to grow from 0 viewers, and Portugal is a small country. We are only 11 million views, and yes, views, people. We are only 11 million of Portuguese people, and as years go by, my channel exploded very fast, very fast, and with big numbers comparing to the number of people that live in Portugal. And I feel
Mm.
that unconsciously I used lots of these techniques without knowing it, of like some part of my brain knowing exactly what to do and how to do, or kind of the path to get the result I wanted, especially when I was talking with people on the streets, because I made some. I used to make some interviews on people where I wanted to get a laugh from the audience, but I was like tricking sometimes the people, like pranking, so drinking in, pranking, let's say, twisting some words, so people were maybe believing in some crazy news that I invented. For example, I don't know, that if you eat milk, your nose grows, something like that. And people used to believe, well, because I was making that so credible, and people go on that narrative, and it was really funny. So, and I felt I used a lot of that unconsciously. So this interests me a lot, because I feel like I used to do what these people are telling me in a way or another. So this camp really interests me a lot, and I feel this area, it gives us infinite possibilities of exploring the world, and so I'm really curious to see what we can get out of here. Yes. So you talk about law of attraction, and it is not just visualization or just not wanting a lot,
Right.
because you have universal laws, etc., etc., etc. And I believe that was 100% true. My father used to it use in sometimes he says that you praying is not enough. You have also to work. If you only pray, things don't happen. You have to pray and do the work, right? So this, I think this is really interesting, because there's people that only work, but maybe their pray could be more optimized, if this makes sense on this context. I hope it does. Um, so yeah, I believe that's interesting to know and to explore. Okay, so now I want to ask hmm, this before going more maybe some in more to more in-depth topics. Okay, so this can help people also, I believe, get out of anxiety states, like you were talking a
Mhm.
little bit, or maybe help with depression and stuff like that. And I really feel that this content, if it is more distributed broadly, the content that you do, it can really help people, especially because you do it, I believe, in a very special way, ethical way of doing it. And for example, I have two friends. They are a couple, and they are, so let's put it that way. I feel that some people I know, they can really get a lot of help with your videos or with your type of content. So I want you to tell people how somebody that never heard about this can get
Mm.
help from it. Like, what should I know, and how should I approach and view this area of altered consciousness?
Right. Well, it depends on what they're wanting to achieve, of course. I have alpha focused videos, and again, those are great for visualization. So if they're wanting to achieve something,
No,
um,
sorry to interrupt. It is like
yeah.
it's like to get to into, let's say, out of those dark places. You know what I mean? Like anxiety, depression, those
So
places.
specific to anxiety and depression, you
Yes,
mean?
yes,
How would they use those?
yes.
And that's again, a little bit more of a complex question
Mhm.
because you could use multiple things. I mean, for example, poor sleep contributes to our mental states. So I'm just getting ready to release a series of delta meditations. And so using those to improve your sleep and get deeper delta sleep, that's going to help anyone who has anxiety and depression. Using the alpha meditations, going back to visualization, creating what you want. And
Mhm.
so being able to visualize even a future version of yourself, that happier version, somebody who is more self actualized, you can use that in alpha state. So for those particular states, but then also you can use something like theta.
Mhm.
Theta is one of the beneficial brain states for accessing kind of our higher selves, our guides, maybe God, whatever you believe in.
Mhm.
A lot of people use theta for that reason. And so then you can get intuition from that, or just a feeling of deep peace, a feeling of kind of oneness, connection to the universe. And I mean, that's pretty extraordinary, to help with depression and anxiety when you have a deep experience like that.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit on the technical side of beta, alpha, theta, and all these levels that we have?
Yeah, what specifically do you wanna know?
Like the order, the levels that are more, let's say, superficial, and the more in-depth
Right.
levels of where we can tap into the true intuition and or connection to God or whatever people want to call it.
Got it. Yeah, so beta, of course, is our more of our waking state and, kind of focused state.
Mm-hmm.
And then gamma is actually another waking state that's for like hyper focus. So that's one you can tap into if you want to, create something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get below beta is alpha. And again, that's, a little bit more of an awake but relaxed state. So that's, when you're first falling asleep, when you first wake up, when you go into meditation, when you're daydreaming, when you're playing an instrument, um, enmeshed in art. Their alpha is a little bit more of an active state, but it's also more of a relaxed state too.
Hmm.
And then you get into theta after that. And so that's a deeper, uh, not quite a sleep state, but it's a, more, Um, I mean, it's kind of in your way into sleep, I guess it is one of the sleep states, but it's definitely more focused on, meditation and connecting to guides, chakra clearings. A lot of times when you focus on chakras, you get into the theta state. When you have kind of spiritual experiences, sometimes you're in the theta state. That's more known for that.
So sorry,
Then you get yeah.
spiritual experiences.
Uh, I'm sorry, what are you asking?
I thought you told the conspiratorial experiences.
Like spiritual experiences is
Mm.
in theta. You can have those in theta. Um, and then you
Yeah,
get
I'm really curious curious about that. Um, bec-
yeah.
because I've heard not sure how it's the best way to put this out. Um, but like there's people, for example, that sell these like Vislan Lekiani, that they sell these, or at least what I saw in a beautiful way of creating reality, manifesting things and shaping reality, manipulating the world how you want. At least I interpreted a little bit on that. And what I want to know is that if you believe or think that this can really be true in some way or another um, of manipulating a reality in a special super ultra deep theta state, or whatever you guys call it, because I experienced I experienced a lot these altered conscious states, and I
Mhm.
really felt a lot of weird experiences on theta, and I guess I'm one example to not follow, because for example the first times I tried these altered states, it was with Jose Silva mind technique, and I was really trying to go in deep, let's say, and to try to experience. Okay, let's see if this really creates reality, shapes reality, or whatever it is. Let's just experience. Open mind, boom, let's go. I'm an open mind guy a lot, and I am there. Like I feel like I'm very sensible state. Like I feel just like I don't know, if I move a little piece of my hand, whatever it is, like the world changes. So really personal experience here sharing, but okay. Um, and so I'm really like in a really sensible state. I feel like the world changes if I, depending on the thoughts that I create, or the thoughts that appear on my mind, which I believe it is to be the case, that it will influence because we are on a super sensible state or deep state. And it was like if I got some I don't know, automatically some vision of a shadow, something like that, crossing my mind. I don't know what it is, but I ended the session and I felt like, oh my god, I felt like I made a mistake. I'm not sure if you are okay with cursing. Are you okay with cursing?
Oh, yeah.
So so I was like, I ended the session. I was like, oh fuck, oh shit. I think I made a mistake. Like I felt, I don't know what the hell I did after the end of the session, but I felt like I did some I don't know, like some intuition tell me that I made some mistake. Not in a really bad way, but I was like, I guess I messed with something I shouldn't mess, you know. And that's it. I believe I messed with something I shouldn't mess. That is higher power, whatever you want to call it. That this wasn't really good. And after that, I'm not sure on this paradigm if it is possible to explore that. Um, or you professionals of this area, how you see this. But it really interesting to me because what I studied on metaphysics, and also I read the interesting book from Carl Jung on synchronicity, so on. I'm exploring a lot of this stuff. And I see that I can easily entering on this paradigm of metaphysics, that I really can see how these right here, when I'm talking about these altered states, really changes the world, or at least I've had that experience of really, really, how can I call it? Weird experiences, I guess. For example, synchronicities happening a lot, like loads of the times. For example, images that randomly appeared on my mind, constantly matching with reality in a way or another. And most of those images, sometimes they were associated when I was on that really deeper state, or it was like off the root. And so yeah, this is to tell you what, that I really felt subjectively, if I start on this paradigm, that I can easily go and understand how these concepts of connecting with God, manipulating reality, they can really, really be easily true. And I feel this can be really, really dangerous to work if we don't go on the right path. And I'm not just talking about individually or subjectively. I'm talking real about um, the world, really about the world. So I want to know your thoughts on that. If you think that's crazy, if that's maybe some testimonials, some similar to this that you have already heard or experienced, because I really, I I really saw that. If I put metaphysics as a base of my intellectual exploration, I really can make some pattern detection of things that makes really a lot of sense when we say, or if we say that from theta base level we can connect to God or manipulate reality. And even in some philosophies, how they call it in English, occultism, not sure if that's the right name, but they say we have our inner God that also manipulates on reality.
Mm.
I felt I reached that really in deeper state where I felt that was really true, and where that depending of how I made the meaning attributed to that situation, that the reality would change. And I felt that it was really the case on different um, phases of exploration, of exploring this paradigm, as I like to say. This is really interesting, because even though people may say stupid, I consider myself an intellectual because I like to explore a lot these mind games, these patterns. I'm a psychology student. From all my entire life, I observe behavior. I like to do introspection a lot. Removing what's real from what's not, what's just, I don't know, resentment, or something that we have to or work on or restructuring on. And I feel like this is true. This paradigm of metaphysics, of this stuff, is true when we do it on the right way. And we have these guys calling about law of attraction, quantum physics, for example. One guy, it is Oswam Goziami. I'm not sure if that's the right name, but that guy is really known. I'm not sure. Maybe you know it. No, maybe not. But I recommend you to watch it if you are interested in the relations of quantum physics to law of attraction,
Mm.
or just in law of attraction. I believe that's really really an interesting person to watch and consume his content on. What more can I tell? Yeah. So I feel there's something really here on this paradigm that we really can explore intellectually or in real life, but because I'm just a person. And yeah, so I see this. I see there's a way to see this and make some connections that these things are true. Because these happen like really loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of times. And when I start reading, for example, Carl Jung's synchronicity, I'm not sure if you know, but it's like synchronicity. It is the effect, let's say, or the concept that when an image that we have on our conscious mind matches reality. So the image comes from the
Mhm.
unconscious mind to the conscious mind, and then so we have access to it, and then it manifests on reality. For example, a dream. You have a dream of for example, having something is burning, a fire, and then the next day there's something burning, something, a fire that is really happening. For example, those types of things. It can be in sleep. It can be during the day, some random things. And when I'm reading all these metaphysics stuff, I feel this can get weird pretty fast. And if I start to see the world from these lenses, I feel these things make a lot of sense. More than just, okay, I will use this to feel better. I will use this as one more tool to get out of depression, to release my anxiety, to feel good, better, and build a new identity, whatever it is. I feel there's something more about it based on my personal experiences and
Right.
observing the world. And I like to dissect everything. I like to do that. I really feel there's something more about it, that we really can manipulate reality in some way when we look at things from this paradigm in a way of exploring. So I want to know your thoughts on that, if you think I'm crazy or not, or if there's more people relating to this in some way. And maybe this is too much because when I talk to you, I didn't talk so much of this in-depth side, that I look it as a real more in-depth thing. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts on it.
So, in summary, your question is about manipulating reality by using the states, right?
Yes, you can reduce it on that manner. Yes, even though I feel my mind that the yeah, it is manipulating reality with thoughts and these deep altered states,
Right.
theta states.
Right. Well, I do believe that we are creators and we do create our reality. I believe it's complex.
Yes.
That there are many things involved in that. It's not just simply that I say, I want, a pencil to appear on my desk and that because it's in my mind, it
Yes.
happens. There's just all this complexity. But yes, I do believe, and I do believe, but again, I believe those brain states are because of focus. That it's that it's putting our will into something and focusing. That's how we are able to create. And what prevents us from creating, in my opinion, is that we have we have other things that affect us, but just even our own brains, like our thought patterns, are
Yes.
really unproductive thought patterns. So, if I want to be very successful in my career, for example, but I have these beliefs that I'm not worthy of that success and that I'm a failure, that's going to work against me in that creation process. I mean, those are all things that, we have to work on. Um, so I agree. Yes, we do manipulate our reality and we
Whoa.
can, and
Eish.
we can have amazing things happen. I've seen it happen.
Yes.
I believe that dream interpretation is a really important part of creation, and that we get a lot of information from our dreams. And so when I've regularly done dream interpretation, because I for many years I was part of a program that it was a very intense program where we were doing that, and I saw my dreams and reality like collide. I started
Really?
seeing the things in my dreams actually start to come into my waking life,
Hmm.
because there's this very much this power when we do put attention to, our just inner life. I mean, everything, the things that are subconscious that we just weren't aware of. When we start bringing things that are in the subconscious to the conscious, there's power in that. And, part of that is dreams. That's our subconscious talking to us in symbols.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I believe, or I can see a lens very easily where what puts in the way of accessing those patterns of behavior that we sometimes we don't see, or that really powerful knowledge of the unconscious. It's the ego. On Carl Jung,
Sure.
the book Synchronicity, he was talking something around that our unconsciousness can like swallow us, you know.
Hmm.
The whole knowledge is on our consciousness, and when we don't integrate our intellectual or our cognition or our rational thinking, the unconsciousness swallow us. But that's also where is the truth is, or the real truth, or whatever you want to call it, out of social reality. um, and that's where we can see see maybe better our patterns of behavior, what we are doing. No, the really the blocks that we have. No, we can see the blocks that we have when we are accessing that information from the unconsciousness.
Right.
And I yeah, so I believe that's one way of accessing those or surpassing those blocks, is really to get to know to the unconsciousness. And unconsciousness can appear in dreams, as you were talking, I believe. And And yes, so I believe with you. I remember that when I was on this successful career path, growing pretty much very fast, I created a channel like in less than 6 months, boom. Created another channel like in less than 6 months, boom. I created another channel now in Twitch doing IRL streams, boom. Like exploded real fast, real fast. And I felt it was really because of this. I was so focused on this, like it was the only thing that matters for me. I was only eating and sometimes lots of times here, sleeping and just streaming all day and thinking and I really felt that even while I was sleeping, that the back of my mind, the unconscious, whatever I was, the part that I wasn't really conscious of, it was like thinking already in the future and how to manipulate reality in a way that aligns with I want. I'm thinking so like from this to here. So 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 we have problem solving that we do that is consciousness. Oh, I'm going to do this. I can do this by this way or I can do this, or I can do by this way. And it's I feel like if the unconscious can think all of those paths and choose the best, if we let it do its work and if we also have that focus and we can remove those blocks. So yeah, that's really interesting because yeah, I saw that too many examples that I didn't even integrate all of them because this is really powerful knowledge on my history and looking back on my psyche. But yeah, I feel really more and more, the more I talk to people, the more I touch on the topic, that this is really some interesting stuff and dangerous. And I see people like this guy, not sure if you know him, Vislan Lakiani, the guy that is founder, I believe, from Mind Valley.
Yes, I know who that is.
I saw some presentations of him, and when I look at as a in a technical side, let's say, of how he presents his stuff, man, I don't know about you, but I feel that he is really a master on that. I can really at him in a technical way and see all the little tricks he does to convert people and to create reality, and I feel like, man, this guy knows what he does, and
Right.
I will really talk to him, and I'm not sure if you will have that opportunity, but I'll also recommend because I feel he knows a lot about these in deeper states. I think it's really interesting. And again, I don't know what happened to me to have, instead of going to the upside, to the side that we don't want to go. But it happened to me, and then as I was told, I wanted to tell in the beginning, it was like my life started crashing. It just a one-time experience. When I look at this paradigm, okay, if I look from this metaphysics paradigm, so it's really interesting to see that because it was really an in-depth feeling that I get associated to that. And yeah, so I believe for me should be like a science, but should be treated very carefully. Okay, so let's move on. And yeah, okay, but then again, I stopped using the silver method, but then I was recovering myself, and then now I started using again, and it helped me, but it wasn't so deep as before. I don't know what the hell happened, maybe the blocks, whatever it is, but it wasn't so deep as before. But as I repeat, I feel that I am, let's say, digging again to get to that level of such a sensible state where it is possible, let's say, to manipulate reality or whatever it is. But I don't know even if I want to do it because it is so dangerous. It requires so much responsibility, or at least I have that subjective feeling that I'm like, man, I'm not sure if I'm going to go this path, bro. But it's really interesting because I'm trying to use it in a good way, but I'm still recovering. So my psyche is still recovering. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it out, I believe. So, but it's really so. What I mean is, I never had negative thoughts on my mind, negative, negative thoughts. Just positive, healthy thoughts in a way that, of course, I have insecurities, but it's not like the world is gonna end or let's say healthy insecurities, healthy anxieties. And after this, from these lenses, I'm starting having negative thoughts, and I'm like, what the hell, man? What the hell? And So what else can I add more to this? And then yeah, so I'm having less and less, but sometimes it still comes some bad images, and I see the influence of those images in reality. It's just unbelievable. Like random image, and then I see like a really direct connection, like reality. And sometimes it feels like we can like have the thought and then influentiate that. No, based on my past experiences or looking from these lenses, I feel that that will happen probably. So it feels like there's a way that we can cut out so that thing doesn't happen. I'm not sure if you ever felt that way in this exploring this world or something or somebody you know, but I feel that, and I will tell you one story of of a loads of stories that sometimes I have, but I don't like write it down and integrate. But maybe I should, because it's really interesting and useful to explore and to share when we are talking about this. For example, um, I'm recovering, etc., etc. My father goes to his farm to pick up. How you say in English? Those big pieces of wood that we can put clothes on. How do you call that in English? I'm trying to remember the name. But let's say furniture. That's the name. Furniture. So he's going to pick some furniture. Random thoughts, like 2 times, 3 times, images appearing of an accident, accident, accident. End of the day, my father comes with a big black circle here on his eye because he had an accident. I'm like, oh my fucking god! Like I knew it. It's like my god.
Yeah.
I say this because it's really so precise, so precise how sooner or later it is possible to see how that manifests in reality. Sooner or later, it's really interesting. Or
Right.
yeah, I'm not sure if you want to hear me still going in depth with my experiences or exploring this. You please tell me, but I have a lot of juice that I think it can be useful to share if somebody, or if you want to share, to explore this. But yeah, tell me if so. If not, we can go to mind hacking. That I want to know in your perspective what is mind hacking. If you want to go to the next topic, mind
I'm
hacking. Yeah.
totally curious to hear your experiences too. So anything you want to share,
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely,
know.
absolutely. Oh, I have lots of experiences and lots of random thoughts or experiences that I see in reality. Now I'm remembering another one. I'm studying Carl Jung, and and suddenly I have like a feeling, a goddamn feeling of a friend of mine. He's called Rui, and he's like meditational guy, mindfulness, not but mindfulness meditation. And it was a feeling that I never felt before. He's my friend for some years. We are more we have more proximity now than previously. But then I'm like, what the hell? It was quite a strong feeling. But we can have those random thoughts, feelings, whatever it is. But I was like, interesting. Let's explore from this paradigm of metaphysics. I open WhatsApp. Hey, Rui, what's up? What's up? What's up? I don't know the exact words, but it is something. Hey, bro, uh, oh, I now am remembering. Did you send some blessing for me? Because I felt some because I felt something when I
Mm,
was studying Carl Jung, and he tells me, yes, at the end of the each meditation, I say thanks to some people. That includes friends and you. And I was like, really interesting. And he tells me you were one of the first people to notice that. I'm really like, interesting, man. And yeah, he also is a little bit sensible, at least from my experience talking with him when I talk about this. And so interesting. So yeah, what I was talking before. Oh yeah, so I feel this is really a thing, man. I feel this is really a thing if we know the rules or whatever it is. Um, but yeah, I'm remembering what I was saying previously. Uh, when I was switching to mind hacking, realms of consciousness. But yeah, that's it. I believe it is really possible to also create reality, manipulate reality in a way or another. when we look from these lenses, when I put the metaphysics glasses, the world changes completely. It really completely.
Right.
It's like when we can access the real truth from what I read on Carl Jung,
Right.
is the unconscious. It is a real truth, and we can mess with that. Oh, now okay. And when we are when I am on those really deep sensible states, it feels like the attribution of meaning. It is very crucial. You know, the meaning that we attribute to things, even if we are on the deep altered state, or even when it is possible to bring some of that to the normal life. It is really interesting how just the world instantly, or in a matter of seconds, people change based on what I'm thinking, or the thoughts.
Mhm.
And that's really interesting. I believe there's lots of people with that experience, but they can call it different things, altered states. They can call it Reiki. I'm not sure if that's a good word, but I remember a professor here in Portugal from Coimbra saying that on a podcast. That sometimes he's talking with people, and depending on what he's thinking, on the images that he's projecting on the mind, or whatever it is, or to other person, or imagining, or whatever it is, the other person replies in a more, let's say, sensible way, or in a more hard way. It is like some people are more prone to receive, and others are more blocked. No, like a stone. Nothing enters in. Boom. And it's really interesting because I was really in this sensible moment that I was like, this is brutal, exploring this stuff. And I am like, okay, I was not in the theta state because I was wide awake, but my brain, it wasn't on a normal state because I felt some mm, I I felt that as because I was very sensible to reflect emotions from others, I absorb emotions from others a lot. So that requires me to do some special training or some different approach to not absorb what I don't want. Now there's people like that. And I was feeling like I was getting like this kind of projections, or my body or my mind was interpreting some emotions from others, or whatever it is, in some really interesting way. And then I'm like, let's see if I can do this also. And with this state of intention, let's say it's intention, I am like, this is just for fun. I'm on the fucking train, you know. There's a person who sits in front of me. I can see her through the reflex of the window and through the middle of the chairs. She's scrolling on Instagram, and I'm like, okay. I'm just like formulating the thought image, and look up. I feel like I send, or whatever it happened, and then the person, really, I'm telling you, it was that moment you felt. Do you know when you feel like something, you look at behind, and some person asks you, oh, whatever it is, I don't know, man. I just had a strange feeling. You know that it was like if she was having that, and I was like, oh my god. And I tried this one time, and I'm like, no fucking way. What the hell is this? It's really interesting because I don't know how the hell I entered on that state, but yeah, it sometimes it is more sensible, the approach, or less sensible, in a way that sometimes we can make more impact or less impact. But it is
Right.
really interesting. Um, so if you glad you want to listen to my experiences, uh, and I will add studies because Carl Jung talks about extrasensorial perception, extrasensorial perception. And I don't know if you know this, but there is parapsychology being made in USA. Research, Ryan Research Center, if I'm saying right, where they do scientific experiments with this, and they get like results. It's
Mm.
not like I'm moving the
Mhm.
world, boom, 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 but they have results like some little changes in electronic devices, just by thinking theoretically, or whatever it is. I don't want to go a lot technical because you can say a word different from what they say, and it is a mess. But it's really interesting that I go see in actuality and things that were being studied by Carl Jung and his colleagues are studying right now, and it involves these crazy stuff of extrasensual perception, telepathy, and I'm like, oh my god, this is really interesting, and I feel it's really dangerous. I don't know. So yeah, there's a hole to explore there if you want.
Yeah, well, I have some thoughts. When we do this type of work, when we become more of the observer, things open up for us for sure. Those things are always happening. It's not that those things weren't happening before. We open up that world though when we become more of an observer and we do become more intuitive and we'll start to have more experiences and but things that were already happening. We just weren't able to see them,
Hmm.
weren't aware, and
Oh.
we didn't take advantage even of, like, our power because we were in our beta brain most of the time, focused on that. I mean, we were always accessing those different brain states. I mean, keep in mind, we're always doing that regardless of if we're doing it with intention. Once we start to be more intentional, it just kinda changes it does change the landscape of our experience and what that looks like and the control we have and, what we're aware of.
Okay, so when you say observer, you are saying like watch, or you are saying like absorb to the interior.
Observe, as in watch, yes. So
A
being
watch.
able to actually, watch the mind and watch our experiences because when you are stuck in beta brain, activity, and when I say that, I
Mm.
mean like when you're just reactive to everything, because we're always gonna have beta brain, but, when you're a more reactive person and you don't have that outside view, you're constantly just reacting to everything, whether it's positive or negative. When you are able to become more of an observer of your experiences, then you start to change, how you respond more than you react. You get more curious about what's going on. You see things you didn't see before. It just changes how you look at life and how life transforms. I mean, you just have different experiences.
That's really interesting. So it is like we are in beta, and we can even while we are awake and walking, went from like beta to. Sorry, you said alpha, right? Yeah, we are on alpha. You can change from
Mhm.
alpha to theta and then go back again, or alpha to beta and go back again. Is like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're always going in and out of those brain states depending
Mm.
on what you're doing and what's influencing you, and if you're in a sleep or awake state. Um, it's just more about learning that, learning about your brain states and learning about your consciousness and starting to understand it that is really the shift. Because regardless of if you have that knowledge, and it's always I get comments about some of the stuff I'm doing is, somewhat sacrilegious or something, and,
Mm.
it's not of Christ or whatever. But the thing is, every single one of us has brain states that we are using all the time. We just maybe didn't have the knowledge to understand how to use them before. That's the only difference. Somebody who's a Christian still has all the brain states and they're still accessing those every single day. They're no different than you or I. But when you start to understand, this is just something we aren't taught, our consciousness and understanding that we have these brain states and what they do and can be used for with intention. And meditation, is something that people talk about that, but people don't always associate that with what that really is. Because what that is just accessing a different brain state. That's all meditation essentially is. I mean, we have experiences because we've accessed a different brain state and separated ourselves from that active brain state.
Okay. You talked a very interesting thing that was the sacrilege. Um,
Right. I don't know if that's the right word, but
oh, so like religious stuff,
you know,
the spiritual
you
stuff.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, people are thinking it's negative, that I'm doing
Oh.
something that's, not, it's against Christ, it's against the Bible, it's against, Christianity or,
Oh.
some kind of
It's
religion,
like
like,
yeah. It's like if you are anti their God, you're anti God.
right.
It's like obtaining power from God that can be
Like it's
opposed
of
to.
the devil, like this
Yeah.
work is of the devil somehow when we all have brain states, like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
what God gave us. If you believe in God, God gave us this, whatever creator you believe in, this was given to us, and it's a gift that just somehow is not being used in the way it could be because no one's teaching about this.
Yes, it's true, and also because it is not hard to explain this and to master this technique. You
Right.
know, but how the hell most people know, or how the hell? What I'm telling is, even if you teach, I guess it takes some time to really understand the power of this without experiencing it. And to experiencing it, I guess it takes time to get that in-depth sense of, whoa, this is really it. I'm really now understanding truly and feeling what she is talking about. This, I guess, this can take time to some people, right? Okay.
Right, but it's a quick once you get it, it just becomes so easy then to access the brain state and to understand when you're accessing different brain states. You may not know exactly which one you're in, but you do start to have an understanding and are able to switch to different brain states pretty easily. And again, this is something that we were already doing. I mean, you were already doing that. You just didn't understand you were doing it and how to maybe automatically make it happen because if you say you're in a conflict with somebody, if you could get yourself into an alpha state, it could change that conversation because you could calm down, have a more observant reaction to the interaction,
Mm-hmm.
and have a more logical maybe response, to that person versus being in beta, you're triggered,
Ah, beta, yeah.
you're getting angry, all of your stuff is coming out in that conversation that has nothing to do with the conversation.
Oh my god, I saw that a lot when I was on the university. It's so funny. It is so funny because it was like you said when you get the click, you can see that everywhere. Everywhere, yeah, if you want or sometimes. Um yeah, you talked about this beta, reaching alpha, no make the pause, tapping your true capabilities in a healthy way, in a healthy manner. This isn't nothing, nothing out of the devil. This is, in my opinion, like a science that we should master.
Right.
So I have two things to tell you, or two things to say. So I really recommend you, or I think you maybe will find Goswami. That's the right name. I remember it right now. Goswami, interesting. He talks about the quantum physics side about this. I'm not sure how in depth you are on quantum physics, but there are some theoretical correlation or some explanations that can also be associated with this.
Right.
And so I recommend that. So, for example, electrons, I hope this is the right word, behaving differently if there is a person that is observing or if there isn't any person. No, um, two atoms that if they are tied together, when you unfold them, when you move one, the other also moves. I know. So this is really interesting stuff. That I'm looking to find a quantum physics guy to teach me more about this, and I can go back to you to tell you something to tell you something if you want, because I feel this is really interesting to know the perspective that other fields have on this side of
For
manipulating
sure.
and creating reality. Okay, so yeah, the second one is um, I I bet you probably do this all the time, and no, I'm a very widespread guy, and I'm working to do less and less. That is, I used to like to go in every single field I can and just to absorb in an intuitive way. For example, okay, let's see what this guy has to say, and then I get a click of what he's saying. Oh, it's exactly this, not in the words but in feeling, and knowing exactly how to manipulate and work with that concept, for example, or whatever it is, understanding with your nervous system, let's say, and not just memorizing the words. At least I make that difference. And then I go to the next. But then, if I don't like give time to solidificate the knowledge and like put in words and just contemplating it, so put more time to it and to have a more solid understanding of that on the body. Well, then I used to have this tendency like just to mix up all the stuff. And this is one topic also that I have lots of interest, and that also happened to me. So I'm pretty sure you use this. I believe that that is, let's say, use this in a structured way. For example, I know that we can, let's say, grab a cue, for example, the number 1, and grab that altered conscious of state to the number we choose, whatever it is. And yeah, so I would like to know how can we play with this. For example, conditioning myself to enter to a specific altered state
Mm.
by associating it to a cue. For example, a clap on the back. I don't know. A wristband, using a look into a wrist, whatever it is. This is possible, and so how can we learn to play with this game?
So just being able to access that, you mean automatically?
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
right. So I think for each person it's a little bit different. I know that some people teach a method where, yeah, you like count, 1, 2, 3, and you can get into the state, or you hold your fingers in a certain like Vishen from Mind Valley talks about this. Yeah, I think he does like a certain hand like
Mm,
thing where he gets into the state or whatever.
yes.
So yes, I mean, I think for me, I always try to tell people that just learning how to get into the state, learning what the cues are so you know you're there, and then kind of figuring out your own thing. Um,
You
you know,
figuring out you are you.
like your own method of accessing
Ah.
it. So like for me, sound is a huge thing for me. I have this background with music, and that's kind of where I came to where I'm at now because I wanted to understand why sound had been so important to me. So for me, sound is a huge component, and I can tune into like the white noise in a room
Hmm.
and shift my brain. That's what I found works for me.
Okay.
So, and white noise is very effective, or any kind of, just droning kind of sound, which would typically be classified as a white noise. But, of course, there's brown noise and different things. So if you're in a room and there's a fan, or you're in a room and there's a refrigerator, like those are things that you can tune into. So it's just
Ah.
learning how to tune your brain. That's my trick. But someone else may be able to, just know like, okay, when I put my fingers in a certain position or I count 1, 2, 3, that I'm able to feel my brain shift. That may be the key for them. So I think it's different for every single person based on just, their understanding of it, their knowledge of what it feels like, and the things that they connect with most.
If people
I think white noise is really effective, as a tool, but I think there's other ways you can do it as well.
nice.
Go ahead, sorry.
If people want to, it's okay. If people want to learn with you, what they can do, like by your
Right.
courses, your channel, if you just to if you want to promote.
Right. So I have a YouTube where there's lots of free content, of course, and I have a bunch of meditations as well as educational videos. I also have courses, and those are available in my store, and all the meditations are available in the store too. So I do a lot of meditations with the different states using different like binaural beats and isochronic tones and binaural tones, just different types of music. So the combination of my voice, which it in itself helps to entrain the brain. And then using on top of that music that, is meant to get your brain into a certain state is just, it's kind of the secret sauce, basically. Those two things together tend to impact someone enough to entrain their brain into, an alpha or a theta or a delta state.
Yeah, okay, that's really interesting because if people want to get these hacks, they can get it from you on your course on your
Right,
course on
right.
product.
Yeah, I have an alpha and a theta course, and I'm getting ready to release my delta course. So then you can also learn about each of those states and how to use them specifically, what they're for, what it feels like when you're in those states. When we get into something like delta, you can start looking at like the hypnagogic state, for example, and all the
If we,
cra-
whoa.
all the crazy things that can happen in that because that's where you can start to explore things like astral projection and out of body experiences and um, you know,
Astral
the hypnagogic
projection.
hallucinations and
Actually,
yeah.
astral projection. What the hell is that?
Oh, you don't know what that is?
Astral projection from that
Yeah.
name? No.
Excuse me. So astral projection is, and this has been used by the military, the US military. I don't know if other militaries have used this. But astral projection is where you're a part of you. I don't know what part of that of you is exactly, soul, whatever it is, travels. So it
Oh
can
my
actually
god,
go
I know what
visit.
the hell that is.
You've never heard this. So it can visit like another country. It can go observe like something that's going on in, a totally different space. There's thoughts that you can travel to a different time even with astral projection. So yeah,
Yes,
it's
I didn't.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really crazy. I've certainly never heard about the name, but the experience, man, I've had really that experience.
You've had that. Well,
Yes,
that's what that is.
yes, I really had that experience. But yeah, okay, so that's astral projection. Yes, I have.
Yes.
And the soldiers used to use this. Oh my god,
The military, I don't know if
military.
they still utilize it, but yes, in the 1960s, they had an entire program where they researched astral projection and out of body experiences, and they actually used binaural beats to induce those states. So I don't know if it's still active or not. That information was classified for a long time, but it was unclassified, declassified at some point. So you can go on the CIA website and actually read about that program.
Whoa, 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 whoa! This is amazing. This is really, really interesting. Okay, really, really interesting information that you are telling me. Thank you so much because I didn't have any person from the field like you to tell me and share me these things. So it's really amazing. Thank you so much for that. So I know that I know something of what I'm talking about, and it's not just um, it's not some other subjective variable. Really, really interesting. Thank you so much, Sommer Leigh. Okay, with this, I want then to go to, let's say, the normal path or a more conventional way of talking about things. So let's just go about what is mind hacking. What is mind hacking, for example?
Right. I mean, it's what we've been talking about. I
Mm.
mean, it is just using the brain states with intention. So mind hacking could be that want to use it for focus. And um, I, there are like those, like, I can't remember what they're called. I'm trying to think
Okay,
what
okay,
they're
okay,
called.
okay. Let's stop that. Let's then continue.
Okay.
The crazy talks about astral projection and that stuff. Okay, so let's continue on these. I don't know what the hell I call this. Uh, of these perspectives. Um, I'm not sure if you have already heard about the word spiritual war or whatever people call it, of like happening like this kind of war with this, for example, this astral projection, um, where like people are trying to influence the behavior of others with these projections, like entering of the mind of other with these astral projections. How can we prevent that from happening if there is some way of doing it?
Yeah, so you're talking about things like, kind of black magic, dark. arts type stuff, basically.
Mm. Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Uh, well,
Kind of the
I don't
dark work?
the technical names I don't know, but the experiences I know them a lot. All of them, bro. A lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to want to just I think the world is has the best intentions and that we have a level of protection and we have guides and all these things. And there is darkness in the world, that's for sure. But we kind of have our own individual choice of how much we want to dive into that. I mean, we have these shadow sides, and it's healthy to understand those pieces of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to for our self actualization. But when we get too caught up in kind of the dark stuff, I feel like we have a level of protection we can provide ourselves. I don't feel like there's that much darkness. I feel like the darkness never wins,
Oh
in my
yeah.
opinion,
Oh yes,
you know?
I agree with you. Darkness never wins. No, God has a plan. Um.
Right.
Okay.
And so I think that those things, yes, all exist, but I don't worry about them.
Yes.
I don't think they have that much power.
Okay. 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 I'm talking because I went to a young psychologist, and I was talking to him, and tells me, yeah, John, there is some. What's the best word to say in English? There is some not shadow institutions. There is some haunted institutions. Let's say yes, there's some haunted houses. And oh yeah, there is some haunted places for sure. So I'm talking about more on that side, like if I have to go, or if people have if I have to go to these haunted places, there is some blockage from that dark magic or whatever it is that we can use to
Mm.
help us, for example.
Right. And I think part of the reason I feel called to do a lot of this work is it was so life changing for me to have this knowledge, but I think it could be life changing for lots of people who are struggling. I mean, somebody that, for example, we've had a lot of school shootings in the US. There was one in my area in particular not too long ago. And I think, would that person have been as miserable, and wanting to hurt other people if they had had this kind of knowledge where they were able to, understand themselves and feel like they could call in something higher, um, look at the world in a different way where they could see the goodness of it. And I just think it can make a difference in lots of people who are struggling because they're reacting. They're reacting to pain, and they're being reactive versus responding to situations. So if they could change how they looked at life and managed, their lives and how they looked at situations that are impacting them, I think it could be a ripple effect. But I think there are powers that be that don't want us always to have that power because we are way more controllable when we are reactive. We're more addictive, we're more unhappy. And when we're in those states, it's easier to sell to us. It's easier to make us drink and do drugs and buy all the stuff and, think we need things.
Yes, that's true.
Um, so it's a complicated thing because I feel like there's a lot working against us, but I do think that this work is incredibly powerful in changing how people feel about their lives and manage their lives.
Okay, that's really powerful. I believe too that this can be used for good. I've experienced that, and I want to use that more. Okay, um, uh, that was so much information for me uh, to process emotionally. that that I yeah, I think you have already answered lots of these questions that I have here. So I want to ask you on this final phase of this, what do you think a message for people that they can take from this talk.
Well, besides what I just said,
Oh yes.
I mean, I think that's what I would want people to take from it is just that they can feel different because I come from a background of intense trauma and I went through years and years of therapy and I still see a therapist, but I believe that their role is way different. They're more of a mirror for me than they don't do what this work does. For me, this was the game changer. Like understanding my consciousness and my brain states totally changed how I looked at life and how I looked at all the difficult situations in my life. And I was just, I lived in such misery for so long. And I think a lot of people are. And so I want them to know that there's a another side, that they could see life differently and they could live differently because I think most people are living in some level of misery, even if it's not intense, you know, they're just kind of going through life on autopilot and there's not a lot of great hope maybe out there a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I think that they could feel so different than they do with this kind of work. Just could relieve so much pain and help them to get over trauma even. I mean, it has for me.
And I hope that also happens to other people as well. To me, I feel that it can have that power, and I work for that. I work for that every single day, and I want to use more of this in a smart and intelligent way. So I'm probably going to buy one of your courses. Um, so yeah, I just want now maybe just read a comment or another if I can. I hope I can. On Twitch. Let's go to Twitch. I'm really curious about if there's people talking about this and what they are talking about. Um, oh, people are asking the link to buy the course. Exclamation point Sommer on the Twitch chat. On YouTube is on the description. Mm,
Yeah, and if you share my links, it's my PayHip store. I have a PayHip store where I have all the courses at.
yeah. Yes, I put the links on the description and on Twitch to get information. People have to put a chat comment, for example, exclamation point Summer, your name Summer, and then it will have all the links appearing. Okay, yeah, random comments. Okay. Yeah, and lots of silence. I guess people are just into getting into it, this power that we were talking here, and I hope they can get a lot of light from you and from your videos and from your content. I wish you can help them, and I will send definitely your channel and your services to my friend. Okay, and
Thank you.
that's it for today. Thank you for coming, Summer. I love your work. I hope you keep doing it, and I hope you keep changing and helping people's lives. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This was the first episode of the podcast Freedom, and bye. Thank you.